Was it from this video, the shoplifting video? Oh, is this where I'm gonna guess, does he justify shoplifting here? I don't know what I can say. I don't want to get banned, actually. Like, to come out and just, like, make videos, like, justifying, like, yeah, so this is why, like, stealing is good. What commandment is that? There's, like, 6 or 7 of these where, like, if you break them, you're probably just not fit for human society. There we go, this one. Don't steal. There's some pretty basic ones.
I'm sure some economists who should log off would point out that, like, okay, sure, but Nintendo only makes Nintendos because they can sell them at big retailers like Walmart. Walmart's got to have that stuff because that's how the market distributes goods to people. If we stopped paying for goods, what would incentivize Nintendo to make Nintendos? Who would manufacture and distribute Nintendos? Also, less importantly, all other goods. And, like, I don't want to overstate my case here, but here's why all of economics is fake. It's a fake idea for rubes and fools, and there are literally no worthwhile ideas to be understood from the entire field of economics. Every economist you've ever heard of is a fraud. We would still make Nintendos because we like to have Nintendos. They're nice. Nintendo actually stopped making Nintendos like decades ago, and people still make them all the fucking time. People build enormous, expensive infrastructure to preserve and maintain abandoned software for Nintendos at great personal risk. They do it better than Nintendo does, despite Nintendo making millions of dollars from getting to do it. You literally could not stop people from making Nintendos if you tried. I know this because Nintendo has tried. And that is true of literally every single consumer good you can think of. It is someone's passion to make.
Is every single consumer good, like suitcases or plungers or paint or like
the extent that they would give up everything in their life for the chance to do it for a living, and they would find a way to do it better and more efficiently than any business could ever hope to.
Individuals can manufacture goods at scale more efficiently than large businesses? Why not go do, if they could, then why not go do it and have a whole bunch of people become millionaires? So that's possible. Just go outcompete like every big box retailer. Go shut them all down. Like,
also, hundreds of other people would find doing it pretty interesting and fun if they were allowed to do so on their own terms. People, literally, for fun, play video games about long-haul trucking, and you're seriously trying to make the argument that without the profit incentive, nobody would want to do a boring job, like trucking, or cleaning public infrastructure, or farming. Hey economists, what are you talking about? Why are you like this? Why do I have to keep explaining to you, economists, that accomplishing things feels good? Get the fuck out of here, economists, for real. What the fuck, you guys? But somehow, the Walmarts of the world have convinced us that if they weren't there to own everything before we owned it, why would anyone make anything?
I don't know. I'm good, dude. I've watched this guy's videos in the past. It's thoughts time. This guy's one of the most stupid. Let's go that way. One of the most stupid people. Oh, God. Was it from this video, the shoplifting video? Oh, is this where I'm gonna guess, does he justify shoplifting here?
Is that okay to do? Now look, I work on a platform owned by corporate oligarchs. I can under no circumstances advocate committing crimes. At least, not the ones that corporate oligarchs don't like. I could advocate hate crimes all I wanted, but I don't want to do that. It is against the rule. Shoplifting.
Hold on,
Is that okay to do? No.
I have shit I have to do today. I don't have time to watch this moron. Okay, let's...
Look, I work on a platform owned by corporate oligarchs. I can under no circumstances advocate committing crimes. At least, not the ones that corporate oligarchs don't like. I could advocate hate crimes all I wanted, but I don't want to do that. It is against the rules to advocate for normal criminal behavior, and it's...
Has Matt Walsh ever advocated for hate crimes?
Not the ones that corporate oligarchs don't like. I could advocate hate crimes all I...
This documentary, What is a Woman? This wasn't hosted on YouTube, correct? So we're already on 2 strikes. He's a guy that I do not like. I don't like Matt Walsh, but we're already 0 for 2, but okay.
Wanted, but I don't want to do that. It is against the rules to advocate for normal criminal behavior, and it's actually enforced, so I would get in trouble. I could potentially lose my livelihood and my ability to support my family, which is kind of ironic given that like 95% of the
Matt Walsh does have a YouTube channel though, right? Hold on, let me just make sure. Yeah, he does, okay.
On this platform is itself stolen. I definitely couldn't show video evidence of me performing a crime. That would be a serious no-no, and that puts me in an interesting ethical position because is itself stolen? I definitely couldn't show video evidence of me performing a crime. That would be a serious no-no, and that puts me in an interesting ethical position because obviously sometimes crimes are the right thing to do. You know, sometimes, like, there are plenty of extreme circumstances I could point to throughout history where virtually everyone can agree that it was morally permissible, even necessary, to defy an unjust law. Like, nobody's going to seriously suggest something like the Underground Railroad was immoral simply because it was illegal. And anybody that does suggest that is probably just a garbage. Now, I'm sure you could craft some devil's advocate using some absurdly strict principle and gussy it up with, like, a half-baked appeal to a moral imperative, so it sounds like you're not just being a weird, racist contrarian, but nobody's gonna buy that. You're just being a garbage. Get a hobby, try knitting. But shoplifting is not really that kind of circumstance, is it? It's a bit of a gray area. That's the type of crime that virtually everyone has at least some experience with, even if they've never done it themselves. So everyone's got an opinion on it, and it can get pretty heated. Oddly enough, a lot of shoplifting discourse seems to get heated specifically because somebody made a comic strip about shoplifting, either a good, based comic, or a bad, cringe comic. And shoplifting discourse seems to get heated specifically because somebody made a comic strip about shoplifting, either a good, based comic.
Okay, the good based comic is just somebody shoplifting? Okay.
Or a bad, cringe comic.
Oh, and then this one was anti-shoplifting, so it was a cringe comic. Okay.
And, you know, someone makes a comic you disagree with, you don't gotta be shitty to them, just leave them alone. Everyone agrees that there are, of course, times when it is morally permissible to steal. If you're starving, nobody expects you to just die about it. Most people would not judge you for stealing a loaf of bread to feed your hungry family. Everyone except, like, the food professor, of course. But, you know.
I don't think people starve in America. I would need to see data on that. This just doesn't happen. Even our homeless people in America don't starve. Starvation is like there's so much food here, and there's so many ways to get food. Even our homeless people are like fat as fuck in the United States. Now, there's arguments to be made about not having access to high quality food. I think food insecurity can be measured in lack of access to high quality food. But people are not starving to death in the United States. And people are not shoplifting because they're starving to death. This does not happen, okay?
Reasonable people wouldn't hold that against you. So for the sake of arguing, let's ignore shoplifting that is done strictly to survive. We can agree on that much, I think. I'm not really interested in appealing to the type of trash brain who wouldn't agree with that. If you think people should die rather than steal a loaf of bread...
Nobody is arguing this.
Yesterday.
Literally...
Enjoyed it a lot, Destiny DGG.
Thanks. I'm pretty sure...
Tell us about the Telegram thing that happened. You rock. Sign of the Horns medium light skin tone.
Thanks. He just talks a ton of shit on his Telegram, but I think he doesn't know that people check it. I have no idea. I'm pretty sure even Ben Shapiro would say if you're starving to death, it's probably okay to steal a bagel from a fucking store. I think anybody would agree with that. This is like the lowest tier of arguments, but that's okay. We're just getting started. Okay.
I just gotta question your moral priorities. Likewise, I think most people can agree that stealing from small businesses is, at the very least, less defensible than stealing from big corporations. Obviously, not all quote-unquote small businesses are created equal, but there's clearly a difference between stealing from a local business and, like, Best Buy. We could get into a whole discussion about gentrification here, and how small business is a term that's often used as a smokescreen for a sort of petite bourgeois assimilation of places that poor people had once lived. Nothing is simple, everything is complicated, but generally, we can agree, I think, that it's worse to steal from Dave's Cool Soup Store than from Walmart. So, we will focus here on stealing from big corporate chains, since that's what most people tend to argue about anyway. That it's petite bourgeois and, like, big corporations. Obviously, interested in appealing to the type of trash brain who wouldn't agree with that. If you think people should die rather than steal a loaf of bread, I just gotta question your moral priorities. Likewise, I think most people can agree that stealing from small businesses is, at the very least, less defensible than stealing from big corporations. Obviously, not all quote-unquote small businesses are created equal, but there's clearly a difference between stealing from a local business and, like, Best Buy. We could get into a whole discussion about gentrification here, and how small business is a term that's often used as a smokescreen for a sort of petite bourgeois assimilation of places that poor people had once lived. Nothing is simple, everything is complicated, but generally, we can agree, I think, that it's worse to steal from Dave's Cool Soup Store than from Walmart. So,
we kind of just breezed by that, but okay, so stealing from wealthier people is more moral than stealing from poor people. There's probably some level of truth to that, but holy cringe.
we will focus here on stealing from big corporate chains, since that's what most people tend to argue about anyway. That's one concession per side of the debate, which should equal out, but I'm sure will make both sides feel as though I'm selling them short. From henceforth, unless I specify otherwise, when I say shoplifting, I am referring specifically to stealing from a big corporate chain for fun and or profit, or some reason other than strict necessity. Is that the most typical form of shoplifting? Probably not, but it's the one...
It almost certainly is, no? Does he think that the majority of people that steal in the United States, when we look at like the big thefts and shit, is it for food?
that I'm most interested in arguing about. Once again, even if, hypothetically, I believe that shoplifting was based and or slime-filled, I could not advocate for it directly. Even if I could, I'm not sure I'd want to be responsible for you making that kind of choice on account of jail. Whether or not I think shoplifting is ethical kind of puts aside the issue of whether or not it is a good idea to do. Please use appropriate caution and do not base major life decisions about what crimes you should or should not commit based on what a YouTuber talking head told you. This is an opinion piece. It's not, you can't show this video in court. They won't accept it. Pro-shoplifter people, and full disclosure, this is the side I tend to be more sympathetic with, in case you couldn't tell already, will claim that anti-shoplifters are just bootlicking sycophants, brainwashed into believing corporate propaganda. And if that's the case, maybe then we should try to be a little sympathetic to people who are affected by said propaganda, because I don't think it makes a lot of sense to get angry at someone for believing something they have been brainwashed about. Anti-shoplifting people tend to argue that shoplifting is bad for the vulnerable employees of large corporations, that the cost of shoplifting trickles down and harms innocent people, that shoplifters may believe their crimes are victimless, or at the very least, the victims of their crimes are people who kind of deserve it, but that's just a convenient excuse to justify doing whatever suits their selfish impulses. Right away, I think we can see some common ground here. Putting aside, for now, the issue of who exactly, if anyone, is hurt by shoplifting, it seems like we already agree that if it were to affect only the bottom line of rich corporations, that'd be more or less fine. Even if you think it's bad in some abstract sense, it's hard to get mad about.
Watch me steal entertainment from my streamer. You will never see a D.
The harm only matters if and when that harm begins to affect regular people, who might actually lose something in the process. When the company passes the...
I don't know what I can say. I don't want to get banned, actually. I don't like these people. I don't want any of these people in my society. I actually really don't. Like as much as I would hate like a fundy like Islam suicide bomber or like any other, like I don't want these people living in my country ever. Holy shit. Oh, I like to come out and just like make videos like justifying like, yeah, so this is why like stealing is good. Like what commandment is that? There's like 6 or 7 of these where like if you break them, you're probably just not fit for human society. There we go. This one. Don't steal. There's some pretty basic ones. Like don't kill people, don't steal from people. Don't, like I feel like if you can't abide by that, or if you're trying to make like
give us your thoughts on the Milo debate.
Yeah.
Personally, I thought Milo was horrible.
Well, okay, yeah, he was. They just shouldn't be here. They, like just go somewhere else. Actually, like forcibly expel people that think that you could like justify it. It's actually so insane to me.
The damage down to their employees rather than absorb it themselves. I think, though, the degree to which this actually happens is dramatically overstated. Anyone who's ever worked one of these jobs can tell you they're paying you as little as they can possibly get away with, no matter what. They don't give a shit if their employees are preventing shoplifters. They're going to squeeze them as hard as they can, period. To wit, the greatest form of theft is almost universally not shoplifting, not robbery, not car theft, but wage theft. And, that's putting aside the...
It's not... These are two... I like how they call it, like, wage theft. Like, it's the same type of thing. Like, if people are shorting their employees' wages by one means or another, and I've seen a lot of different ways that people measure this, obviously that's wrong. Like, that's not good. But it's not like theft in the traditional sense of like somebody stealing something from a store. They're two kind of different things. But also, again, they're not. It's not the same thing. Also, I wonder who wage thefts more, big business or small business. I'm super curious on that. I wonder if he links a study of like, well, where does the wage theft occur? I'm sure that by absolute number, it's probably big business. But I wonder by per capita, like per employee hired. Yeah, I don't know.
The theft of surplus value in the first place, like all wage labor could be said to be a form of theft. Also, we don't tend to count in these studies the theft of, say, a continent. Often this is framed around the idea of how theft will affect the store's bonuses, or the rate that they give out raises, or the hours they give their workers, or whatever. And like,
isn't shorting a wage easier to do accidentally compared to shoplifting? I feel we should I feel like I looked into this at one point, like how is wage theft calculated? And I feel like some of the ways that they, on like the largest study that accounts for it, it'll say things like what was it? Like if you clock out early or clock in late, or it was just like a really weird way of calculating it. Like when people talk about wage theft, in my mind, what comes to mind is like, wow, your employer is actually stealing money from you, like they're taking money from your wages somehow. But I don't think that the way that wage theft is calculated, it's not usually like that. It has to do with like weird clock shit, I think. But I'll go and look this up, or fuck it, we can just I don't have time to like. What is wage theft? Examples of wage theft include paying less than minimum wage, not paying workers overtime, not allowing workers to take meal and rest breaks, requiring off-the-clock work, or taking workers' tips. So about half of this is minimum wage violations. Does this mean that they're employing illegal immigrants? Isn't that the only way to pay less than minimum wage? Unless you're paying cash, obviously. Like, but that's, you got a whole bunch of illegal shit. Tipped employees? How are you paying tipped employees less than minimum wage? Cash in hand for local workers or those under. Yeah, if you're paying cash, you could do it. But there's a whole bunch of dumb shit. It's like $3. Minimum wage for servers is like $2.13 an hour. That's not paying less than minimum wage though. Tipped positions have a lower minimum wage. Tipped jobs in certain states go below. No. I'm pretty sure there's a tipped minimum wage. That's different than paying less than like actually minimum wage or whatever. If you're a tipped employee and you don't get less than minimum wage from tips, your employer has to pay that. Yes, that's true. Although I'm almost positive you would be immediately fucking fired from your job if you somehow found a way to make less than minimum wage in a fucking tip position. I'm pretty sure you would just get fired immediately. Less than normal, not the tipped wage. Thoughts on tip culture, by the way? Tip culture is fucking out of control. It needs to stop. Dude, now when you go to the gas station, I've gone to a gas station in Miami that turned the screen and had the tip thing on it. I'm like, bro. it sucks because I'm like a max tipper, okay? I make a lot of money. I'll do 20, 25% basically wherever I go. But now I'm starting to reconsider it everywhere. Now I'm like, I don't know if I should tip any of you motherfuckers. Like, y'all are making way too much money. Sitting behind the counter, do you want a $1 tip for me getting a thing and bringing it to you for you to ring up? Organized retail thieves most wanted list. Survey reveals which items are most likely to be stolen from these stores. Organized retail time has contributed to $94.5 billion. Holy shit. Wait, is that in 1 year? 2022 survey. Wait. Is that bigger than all of the... Oh, so that's even more than the wage theft. So he just lied. He just lied. Okay, hold on. Federal Wage and Hour Division Investigations 2021 found, on average, $1,211.70 for each employee due back wages. The federal government might not know it. I don't need... How? Why, damn. I wonder what this is about. I wonder what... Work to ensure working people in the U.S. see the wages, protections they earn, blah, blah, blah. Oh, this just links to this. This doesn't tell me anything. I wonder how much heavy lifting average is doing here. Failure to pay overtime. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of how, because for every job that I've worked, and obviously I'm sure it's different, but for every job that I've worked, like there's a clock. Like you clock in and you clock out, and it's pretty strict. Like if you were cheating the clock, you'd have to go to payroll, HR. You'd have to go to a whole other department and tell them to cook the books. Like it would be almost impossible. So I'm curious how you would like not pay somebody overtime. Now in a small business, I think you probably could, but. A lot of jobs have timesheets, but you fill out how long you work. My industry has it. Okay, Doombug, you're British, okay? You guys probably don't have clocks yet, okay? And Big Ben is under construction constantly, so you guys don't know. Studies have found inflated rates of wage theft violations in markets employing women and foreign-born populations. And there are indications of wage exploitation and wage theft are among key motivations for employers hiring migrant workers. And the foreign population women are at much greater risk for wage violation. Undocumented workers are unauthorized immigrants stood at the highest risk levels. That makes sense. Education, longer tenured employment, and English proficiency work to be influential factors in employee populations. All three variables reduce the probability of wage theft for the aforementioned workplaces where the compensation was paid in one weekly flat rate or in cash. Yeah, for sure. So a higher instance of wage theft. Smaller businesses with less than 100 employees also saw a higher instance of rate of violations than larger businesses in one city. Manufacturing industry, repair service, and private home employment. Highest risk of violation. Okay, makes more sense. Destiny. Places consider stuff not clocking out to use the bathroom wage theft. I've only had 3 real jobs. How many? McDonald's, casino, work study, and paper route. 2 real jobs? I've never heard of anybody clocking out to use the bathroom before. Do people do this? That's possible, I guess, but I've never heard of that in my entire life in any type of job ever. Carpet cleaning? Oh, I wasn't like on the clock for carpet cleaning. I wasn't on the clock for paper route either.
They didn't have to deal with the loss to their profit margins caused by shoplifting is extremely naive in my opinion. Because why would they? Why would they just keep the money? That's what they're trying to the loss is, or the rate that they give out raises, or the hours they give their workers, or whatever. And like, the idea that companies would be willing to pay their employees more money if they didn't have to deal with the loss to their profit margins caused by shoplifting is extremely naive in my opinion. Because why would they? Why wouldn't they just keep the money? That's what they're trying to do, to have all of the money. Likewise, the idea that they might reduce their hours or hire fewer people as a result of shoplifting losses operates on the same assumption that a company would, for whatever reason, be willing to pay more than it absolutely needed to pay as...
Well, no, the stores just close. That's what happens when you shoplift in certain neighborhoods. I also really wish these fucking losers with the rich moms and dads that have lived in expensive suburbs their whole life, I wish you could go and shop in like poor neighborhoods or shitty neighborhoods. Bro, nothing is more mindful than LA, where I swear to God, you could be in one place that's like all lit up, all nice and bright, and you can walk like 10 minutes and you run into gas stations that you can't even go inside past like fucking 6 o'clock because it's all locked down, and you've got to talk to the guy through the window because they won't even let anybody in the fucking store to buy anything. Or where you go to places and like the deodorant is behind a locked case. The deodorant is behind a locked case, okay? Shit sucks. It feels horrible. It feels gross. Ugh.
What? A reward for good behavior? They will always operate with as few people as they feel they can get away with. In fact, if anything, the threat of shoplifting probably incentivizes them to have more employees working at any given time. For decades now, people have been predicting that the rise of automated checkouts would result in huge losses of entry-level jobs in the service sector. Turns out it didn't, specifically because these companies still want people around on account of shoplifting. So therefore, it could be argued shoplifters are job creators. As an aside here, Walmart makes money from their employees. That's why there's a Walmart. What we call Walmart is like a legal abstraction, an entity that exists solely to profit from the labor of others. Walmart doesn't do things, it gets other people to do things and then takes the money. Without others doing that labor, there isn't a Walmart. The idea that if Walmart starts losing money, that they're going to start firing people rests on the assumption that hiring people is like a favor Walmart is doing for them, as though Walmart hires employees to give back to the community instead of needing those workers to function. I think it speaks to a wider assumption about the way the corporations have trained us to look at jobs, as though we should be grateful for them, for the opportunity.
It's just so stupid. I'm so glad BreadTube died, this stupid subreddit with all these stupid content creators that nobody gives a fuck anymore. I noticed this the other day, because I thought about this, because like obviously I've outlasted a ton of my haters. One of the things that sucks is you never actually get to feel good when your haters disappear because they're gone and you don't see them anymore. Yeah, because they just kind of like fade away. I'm glad this dog shit fucking subreddit died. Fuck all these people. Just take a moment to remember this horrible place. These guys thought that they were going to be the next big thing on the internet and they died in like a year. Did you see the Young Turks having their own left arc? Yeah, I need to try to talk to Anna or Chank would be interesting.
For them to profit off of us, when in reality, of course, they benefit from the work far more than we do.
Answer Dono question. Can you please walk us through what you did to poop in Milo's Cheerios? Why did it come out so hard in its opening statement? Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. Milo's one of the few people. This does not happen much, even though you guys probably think it happens all the time. People generally aren't grifting. Like it's pretty hard to grift full time. Like it's a very difficult thing for an average human being to do. But I think Milo is. I think Milo actually does grift. I don't think he believes in any of the shit he's talking about. I think the problem is that he's probably broke and poor. Like he's not making any money, he doesn't have any money, and he's probably really desperate for paydays, and he's desperately trying to find like another audience to make money off of, and now that's like kind of the Christian audience. Yeah. What makes you say that? About what? He got he got canceled hard. His book deal got canceled, got banned off every platform. He was crying on, was it Telegram or Gab? Wasn't he crying like 2 or 3 years ago about how there weren't enough viewers there or whatever to make a living? Like, Destiny, he isn't poor. His outfit was worth more than your whole closet. Omega lol. Hello, my wonderful suburban kid. I know it's not popular to talk about in lefty communities, but let me introduce you to spending habits of poor people. It's so funny because like I can always tell. It's always the rich white kids that are like, oh, what do poor people look like? Well, they have raggedy clothing that's falling off their bodies, and they just they don't have anything of value. No, they usually have cell phones that they probably shouldn't have, shoes that are too expensive for what they should have, and clothes that they probably shouldn't have either. Like, poor people waste money on a ton of shit. It's fucking stupid, okay? Also, I'm sure Milo has some holdovers when he was wealthy, but just because you're poor doesn't mean you look necessarily like a fucking homeless bum, okay? Fuck off.
We work, and then they get to have money from that work for nothing. This is perhaps a discussion for another day, or, in another sense, a discussion for every day. I digress. That's not to say that I think that theft poses no danger to retail workers. They could be forced into...
I think he was linking up with Ye just a bit ago. I told everybody that Ye shit was fucking stupid. I do stand vindicated, okay? Sneego got dropped, Fuentes got dropped, is crawling back now, and now he has to deal with how insanely radical he made himself come out on a mainstream with fucking Ye, and fucking Milo got dropped. And they all, yeah.
Dangerous positions where they have to confront desperate people who might attack them. Though the obvious question that arises from that scenario is, hey, why do you think those people are so desperate in the first place? They could themselves be blamed for the theft. They could be the subject of disciplinary action for failing to prevent the theft. Longtime viewers might know that this actually happened to me. I worked at a gas station Pizza Hut. I made a video about it. Pretty exciting stuff. And when that gas station, which contained that Pizza Hut, was robbed, I done got fired about it. I've also worked many other jobs where theft was a thing that happened like all the time, and you just kind of wrote it off and went on with your day. But this time I did lose my job. you know, because they said that they claimed that I left the keys in the back door or something I don't remember doing, but whether or not anything was stolen, they'd still probably want to fire me about that on account of I'm personally deeply incompetent. Either way, it strikes me as a little unwise to tacitly accept that if these companies use the threat of harming their workers as leverage, to just let them have whatever they want. To teach them that when they threaten their workforce, we'll just do what they say. We wouldn't accept that logic when it comes to any other sort of action taken against a company. They might make similar threats if workers threaten to unionize, or people threaten to boycott, or a journalist gave them bad publicity. Hey, you can do that if you want, but if you do, we're gonna have to start letting people go, and is that what you want? Would that make these actions similarly anti-worker? I don't think so. Still, that feels a little cold-hearted, doesn't it? Like what? I'd be willing to let someone lose their livelihood over some ideological point? I could just not steal Ice Age and Ice Age 2 on DVD Blu-ray combo disc, and nobody would get hurt as a result. In the other examples I gave, if you didn't take the risk to the workforce, something bad might happen. Nothing bad happens if I don't steal Ice Age and Ice Age 2 on DVD Blu-ray combo disc, aside from the relatively marginal harm of me not getting to enjoy both movies. Well, in this hypothetical, the shoplifter isn't the one choosing to cost someone their livelihood, really. It's the employer that chooses to do that. At worst, I suppose you could argue perhaps that the shoplifter created the conditions that make that choice necessary, that in this hypothetical, the shrink caused by the shoplifting outweighed the profit value of the worker's labor, and frankly, I don't really buy that argument at all. It implies that it's our responsibility to safeguard the profit margins of big businesses, lest they have cause to fire their employees. If your local Walmart goes out of business, every single person there is out of a job. If you find out that your local Walmart is not doing so well profit-wise, is it therefore morally incumbent on you to financially support them? Is it your responsibility to safeguard their profitability in order to make sure that people don't lose their jobs? Are you likewise ethically compelled to spend your money at every business you can, lest those businesses also lose money and have to let employees go? No, right? Like that would be ridiculous. Nobody would expect you to believe that. So then, I ask you, what is the difference between allowing Walmart to go out of business passively and actively harming their bottom line? If allowing that harm to happen passively is fine, would ignoring the shoplifting in progress be likewise a morally neutral act? I would imagine that if you believed shoplifting was bad, you'd probably think people have a responsibility to stop it when they see it, right? As the logic goes, the shoplifting hurts the store's profit margins, and something that hurts the employees. But
this guy's a